blockade of Qatar. Qatar is free to go. The ports are open, the airports are open. What we have done is we have denied them use of our airspace, and this is our sovereign right. The limitation on the use of Saudi airspace is only limited to Qatari Airways or Qatari-owned aircraft, not anybody else. The seaports of Qatar are open. There is no blockade on them. Qatar can move goods in and out whenever they want. They just cannot use our territorial waters. So technically, this is not a blockade. We have exercised our sovereign right to prohibit them from using their airspace. We have allowed the movement of families between the two countries to happen so that we don't divide families. And we are prepared to provide Qatar with food and medical supplies should they need this through the King Salman Center.
What you've described is the sunny side of the relationship, and it's all positive, and it is great, and it is good. There is the dark side, though, and that is that Cuba has failed to improve its own human rights record. What we have to achieve in approaching Cuba is if we're going to sustain the sunny side of this relationship, Cuba must, absolutely must, begin to address its human rights challenges.
We're going to start getting more vocal in our criticism of not having a strategy for Afghanistan. Do you agree that we're not winning in Afghanistan?
Sir, I understand the urgency. I understand it's my responsibility. We're not winning in Afghanistan right now, and we will correct this as soon as possible. I believe the three things we are asking for stand on their own merit, however, as we look more broadly at the protection of the country. But in no way does that relieve me of the need to deliver that strategy to you, sir.
I thank you, General, and I understand very well, as do members of this committee, that some of this is beyond your control. But at some point, we have to say, look, the Congress and the American people owe the Congress owes the American people a strategy which will then lead to a success in Afghanistan.
It's been a busy day for Theresa May. She hosted a DUP leader, Arlene Foster, here at Downing Street. It's crucial, of course, for Theresa May to thrash out the deal, given that Brexit negotiations are just 6 days away. In terms of what we can expect, well, the reports, of course, that in terms of negotiations, they expect a confidence supply arrangement, so very different from the coalition that we saw between the Liberal Democrats and the Tories here back in 2010. The reports that we're hearing is that DUP will back Theresa May when it comes to Queen's speech, but also some future budgets, although there will be no cabinet jobs, no cabinet posts for the DUP. Also, we're waiting to find out what the DUP will ask in return, what concessions they're going to make. Lots of talk here in London that perhaps will be financial, be asking some more funding. That we do not know. We do know, however, where they stand on the question of border with the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and they want a soft border for reasons, of course, of economy and the trade between both. So at the moment, we're waiting to hear on where they stand in the deal, and we have heard from DUP's leader, Arlene Foster's spokesperson, who basically said they're close to finalising a deal, and they said negotiations have been quite positive. Another indication that perhaps things are going well between both is the fact that Arlene Foster has decided to stay the night in London rather than travelling to Belfast as was originally planned. But in the meantime, everyone here wants to know where Theresa May stands on the questions of Brexit, because prior to the election, if you remember, Theresa May had a very hard stance, a hard Brexit, going ahead to the negotiations that she was hoping to have a stronger hand in, if you remember. But now, given the election results, many suggesting perhaps that Theresa may have to soften her approach to Brexit, and some within her own party asking her to be slightly more collegiate, listening to other parties too. Of course, we know in politics that is hardly the case. But today, Theresa May also travels to Paris to meet Emmanuel Macron, and no doubt both will be talking Brexit. Whether Theresa May will have anything to say on that, given the position she's in, well, we'll have to wait until tomorrow. Isa Suarez in London.
moments ago, news that they have been waiting desperately for since last January when their son was detained here in Pyongyang. I want to read you this statement, first of all, from Fred Warmbier, Otto's father. He says, quote, he's being medevaced to the U.S. The brutalization and terrorism the North Koreans have put upon Otto and the Warmbier family have ended, thank God. This has truly been a nightmare for this family after they allowed Otto to come here to North Korea as part of a sightseeing tour with other young tourists traveling with a tour company, a private tour company known as Young Pioneer Tours. He and other young people actually celebrated the New Year here in North Korea, and it was after the New Year's celebrations that North Korean authorities claimed that Otto Warmbier snuck onto a floor where tourists were not allowed at the Yonggakdo Hotel here in the North Korean capital, and they actually released surveillance footage, very grainy surveillance footage, purporting to show him trying to take down a propaganda banner off the wall, presumably to pack it up, maybe put it in a suitcase, take it home as a souvenir. But apparently he may have had second thoughts because he left the banner on the floor and then went back to his room. But it was at the airport when he was leaving the very next day that North Korean authorities arrested him. They later charged him after several months of detainment with trying to undermine the regime. They sentenced him to 15 years of hard labor for trying to take that political banner off the wall. It just goes to show you the real danger that particularly American tourists can face if they violate the laws here in North Korea. And so Otto's parents, they did have some limited communication with him initially through the Swedish embassy here in Pyongyang, which serves as an intermediary whenever Americans are detained. But then as tensions really ratcheted up here on the Korean Peninsula, North Korea enacted what's known as wartime law, cutting off all communication between Otto and his family and even with the Swedish embassy for a year. And so his parents now, in the coming hours, presumably will be seeing him and really speaking with him for the first time in over a year. He would have graduated from college just a couple of months ago. He missed that event. They have a lot of catching up to do.
رجب طیب اردوغان رئیس جمهور ترکیه شخصاً به موضوع همه‌پرسی استقلال اقلیم کردستان واکنش نشان داد و آن را اشتباه خواند. اردوغان که با رهبران اقلیم کردستان از جمله مسعود بارزانی دارای روابطی گرم و نزدیک است، حالا به طور واضح از اقدام این اقلیم برای برگزاری همه‌پرسی استقلال انتقاد کرده. او میگوید این همه‌پرسی یک گام اشتباه و تهدیدی در جهت تمامیت ارضی عراق است. پیش از اردوغان نخست وزیر این کشور و حتی رهبران برخی از احزاب سیاسی در ترکیه به شدت با برگزاری همه‌پرسی استقلال در شمال عراق مخالفت کرده بودند. نکته جالب همین است که PKK شاخه نظامی حزب کارگران کردستان ترکیه هم گفته برگزاری این رفراندوم راه به جایی نخواهد برد. اما شب گذشته اردوغان در موضع‌گیری دیگری تحریم‌های وضع شده بر علیه قطر توسط دیگر کشورهای عربی را مورد انتقاد قرار داد و عبارت اعدام مجازی را در مورد این تحریم‌ها به کار برد و گفت این تحریم‌ها مانند اعدام مجازی قطر است. اردوغان که دارای روابط نزدیکی با پادشاه عربستان هم هست، ملک سلمان را نیز خطاب قرار داد و گفت امید دارم پادشاه عربستان به عنوان بزرگ منطقه این مشکل را حل کند. او گفت البته فکر می‌کنم ایشان این کار را انجام خواهند داد. این نخستین بار است که ترکیه و مشخصاً آقای اردوغان در مناقشه اخیر قطر و عربستان پادشاه سعودی را مخاطب خود قرار می‌دهد و در واقع به طور تلویحی می‌گوید که باز شدن این گره و حل این مشکل می‌تواند به دست ملک سلمان صورت بگیرد. اما در سوی دیگر ترکیه میگوید یک هیئت نظامی 3 نفره را به قطر فرستاده. این هیئت 3 نفره برای انجام هماهنگی‌ها پیرامون توافقنامه نظامی ترکیه و قطر به دوحه اعزام شدند. در این رابطه ستاد مشترک ارتش ترکیه هم بیانیه‌ای صادر کرده و گفته در چارچوب اجرای توافقنامه استقرار ارتش ترکیه در خاک قطر که در تاریخ 7 ژوئن به تصویب پارلمان ترکیه رسیده، روز گذشته هیئتی 3 نفره نظامی برای انجام هماهنگی در این زمینه به دوحه اعزام شده. آنگونه که ترکیه پیشتر اعلام کرده هدف از این توافقنامه و اعزام نیروی نظامی به قطر کمک به حفظ صلح در منطقه، آموزش نیروهای نظامی قطر و مبارزه مشترک با تروریسم است. و اما حالا که کشورهای عربی قطر را متهم به همدلی و کمک به گروه‌های تروریستی کردند، قطری‌ها هم سعی کردند با نزدیک شدن به ترکیه به قول معروف برگ برنده‌ای در این زمینه رو کنند و متقابلا دیگر کشورهای عربی را متهم به همکاری با تروریست‌ها کنند. ابتدا قطری‌ها عنوان کردند که اسنادی را به ترکیه دادند که حکایت از دیدار سری رهبران پک‌ک با مسئولان اماراتی دارد و حالا در تازه ترین رویداد مهمت آجد تحلیلگر سیاسی هوادار حزب عدالت و توسعه مدعی شده که در جریان کودتای سال گذشته ترکیه امارات 3 میلیارد دلار برای سرنگونی اردوغان هزینه کرده. البته این تحلیلگر سیاسی مدعی است که این سخن را سربسته از مولود چاوشوغلو وزیر خارجه ترکیه شنیده. او میگوید که چاوشوغلو گفته ما میدانیم که یک کشور 3 میلیارد دلار برای حمایت از کودتای ترکیه اختصاص داده تا حکومت در ترکیه را ساقط کند. خبر بدتر این است که این کشور یک کشور اسلامی است. نقل قولی است که به هر روی این تحلیلگر ترک منتسب به چاوشوغلو وزیر خارجه ترکیه می کند و البته همزمانی این ادعا با بالا گرفتن تنش میان قطر و عربستان این شبهه را به وجود می آورد که در این موضوع نیز رد پای قطری ها دیده شود. از آن طرف روزنامه یعنی شفق نزدیک به دولت ترکیه که معمولاً با تیترهای تند و انتقادیش مشهور است، مدعی شده که دلیل اصلی تحریم قطر دیدار محرمانه چندی پیش نخست وزیر اسرائیل و ژنرال سیسی بوده. و حالا در گرماگرم روابط ترکیه و قطر روزنامه حریت هم در این رابطه پیام دختر امیر قطر را منتشر کرده که بابت کمک‌های ترکیه به کشورش از آقای اردوغان قدردانی می‌کند. و دورتر از همه این خبرها در قطر حالا اردوغان به چهره محبوبی تبدیل شده یا دست کم از سوی رسانه‌های دولتی دو کشور اینگونه ادعا می شود. قطری‌ها که حالا خود را در محاصره همتباران عرب خود می‌بینند با چاپ پوستر اردوغان بدین شکل می‌خواهند از تنها کسی که فعلا به کمکشان رسیده قدردانی کنند.